Hey, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded for women and women entrepreneurs, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, and relationships with mind mastery and meditation tools and techniques so that you can live the life that you're proud of. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. I hope today I am finding you cheerful and happy and full of joy. And if you are not, if there is a glimmer, an ounce of depression in your mood today, then today's podcast is for you. And that is my intention, is that you find one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation of spiritual growth so that you can live the life that you're proud of. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about how you can overcome depression. When I was younger and I would hear the word depression, I didn't really know what that meant. I know it seemed like some sort of sadness, but I started to kind of feel like it was some sort of a mental disorder. And what it really is a mood disorder. Now that I have been older and, of course, diving headfirst into the personal development field, I have heard a lot of my clients and customers when we were running the meditation room talking about overcoming depression and anxiety. And I never really could put my finger on exactly what it was or what the big deal was. I knew that it was driving the medication field like crazy, that every single commercial was about depression and anxiety. So I knew a lot of people suffered from it. And then for a short while, I was thinking meditation's just in their, not meditation, depression is just in their head. And my firm belief, even though I have gone through stints of time in my life where I have was depressed or I was feeling anxiety, I still firmly believe that it is in your head. As with anything, it starts with you and it starts with your thinking, because we already know that thinking creates emotions and our emotions create the physical response, which then create a physical manifestation of the thing, whether it's a circumstance or an experience. And if you know that, if you've been practicing, if you've been doing, listening to some of the podcasts and implementing, you are starting to understand, man, she's totally right. This is totally it. This is the basis of the life that we live, is my thinking creates emotions, which creates physical manifestations in the world. And when I was talking about depression with this one lady, she was saying, and it was so apparent that there was no way for her to ever get out of it. We're at the meditation room. This woman walks in. You could just tell just by her demeanor and her posture that she was not happy, that she was either not a happy person or just was not feeling good in that day. And these spirit events, these like mind, body, spirit events that we attended for our meditation room were just beautiful and really, I can't even put it in a better word, that they're just magnificent. There's so many great people that come together in this building, and it just lifts the vibration that you just can't help but to feel good just being in there. Now, I'm not saying everybody who works there is nice and jolly and friendly and whatever, because they aren't. But typically, if they have a message to give, if they have products to sell, if they want to share their purpose, their spiritual purpose with others, they are typically in a higher vibration. So this woman walks into our booth, which we always got the compliment that, wow, your booth is like I just want to stand in here. And I would do what's called an energy clearing in our space to allow just those people who were interested in our product, whether they were coming in to just talk with us or they wanted to buy something from us. But it was just this energy clearing, this routine that I did to enhance the vibrational frequency of our specific booth. And over and over and over again, we would hear people come in and say, wow, like it feels really good to be in here. And if you know anything about what I'm talking about, picture like a big pole barn or maybe an ice rink that is taken down, and it's just this big festival, and it's divided into segments, and there's an aisleway, and on both sides there's like a 10 by 10 square foot space that people can set up their tables and their shelves and sell their product or their services. And the customers come in and literally just walk around and they buy the services or the products, right? And I'm sure you've gone to something like that. But anyway, in case you haven't, there's a description. So we're working at the booth, and this woman walks in. And first of all, she's completely dressed head to toe in black. She's an older woman, middle age anyway, 45, 50 years old. And she comes in and she's like, she goes, I hear you sell meditation products. And I said, yes, we do. And she goes, I've always wanted to learn to meditate, but I was never successful. And I said, okay. I said, well, we can teach you how to meditate, and what would be the benefit? Like, what would you be wanting to focus on in your meditation? And she just very clearly said, I'm just not happy. And I said, in what area are you not happy? And she just plainly said, life. And when I connect with somebody on these terms, I become very compassionate and create what's called a safe space. And so I kind of like guided her over, to this other part of the booth. And our booth is not very big, so it literally was 3 feet away. And I came over here and started to talk to her. And I recognized right away that it was the words that she was using that was perpetuating her life. So all this did was solidify my already current belief that the current words that you say perpetuate your tomorrow. Because the things that you're already talking about that have already happened, they've already manifest. And so you're continuing to manifest out in front of you. Anyway, so I would say something like, so what leads you to believe, or what's going on in your life that you're not happy? And she would list all the things of why I don't have any money. My husband died. My kids left. My dog is really sick. My house is falling apart. So she's going on and on and on about all of the things that are wrong in her life. And I said, what's going right in your life? And she immediately said, nothing. And I said, there's got to be something. And she's like, no, there's nothing. And I said, okay. So we started to start to expand and try to change her perspective on things. And I said, what is your, do you have a job? Do you have an income? No, I'm on disability. And I said, what's your disability? And she goes, I have depression. And I said, you have depression? And she goes, yes, I have depression. I've had depression my entire life. And I said, who do you know in your life that's depressed? And she goes, my mom was depressed. And she passed away, 5 years ago. I'm like, okay. And then I said, I'm sorry to hear that. And she goes, yeah. So the whole entire time you were growing up, you were surrounded by your mom who had depression. I said, what did that look like? And she goes, if she did have a job, she would go to the job. She complained about her job. She hated her job. She hated the people she worked with, hated her boss, never made enough money. And then when she'd come home, she would throw some dinner together for us kids and she would go to bed. Maybe eat, maybe not eat. Sometimes she would drink. But she always complained about everything. And I said, okay. And I said, what do you think about life? And she goes, I hate it. I really don't even want to be here. My doctor and my therapist have both recommended that I learn to meditate. And I said, what do you feel about meditation? Well, that I'm not going to be successful at it. And I said, okay. And so if you don't feel like you're going to be successful at it, why even try? And she stopped for a second and she goes, that's a really good point. Why even try? And I said, have you ever been successful at anything? She goes, I can knit like none other. I said, when was the last time you picked up knitting needles? And she goes, it was a long time ago with my grandma. My grandma taught me how to knit. When my mom was not doing very well, that us kids would go over and we would spend time with my grandma. My grandma taught me how to knit, and I love my grandma more than anything in life. And she taught me how to knit. I said, when was the last time you were, I don't know how to say it, you knitted? You knit. I don't know. I'm not a knitter, so I don't know the term. So I said, when was the last time you did that? And she goes, well, it was with my grandma, and it was probably, 7, 8 years ago. I said, okay. I said, you haven't picked up knitting needles since then. When did you notice that your depression got worse? And she said, it was about 7 or 8 years ago. I said, do you see the correlation there? And she's like, no. I said, you don't see the correlation that you were knitting, you were happy, your grandma passed away, who was like this person, this person who spent time with you, taught you how to knit. That was good times in your life, right? Yes. I said, okay. And then she passed away. You stopped knitting 7, 8 years ago. And right around 7, 8 years ago is when depression started to really sink in. And she said, yeah. I said, do you see the correlation? She goes, yeah, sorta. I said, so you've dealt with depression before? Yeah, on and off through my teenage years and going through, change and puberty and boyfriends and stuff like that. Yeah, there were times I had depression. And I said, do you think you're more like your mom? And she goes, in what ways? I said, do you complain? Oh, yeah, all the time. Do you like your job? When you had a job, did you like your job? No, I hated it. Did you like your boss? No, I hated him. Did you have any friends at your work? No, I hated everybody I worked with. I said, when you did go to your job and you were there, and at the end of the day and you came home, what would you do? I said, do you have kids? And she goes, yes, I have 2 kids. I have 2 girls. Okay. And I said, and when you came home, what did you do? And she goes, well, I would throw some dinner together and then I would go sit in my chair and I would watch TV. Sometimes I would fall asleep in my chair. I said, do you see a similarity between you and this behavior and your mom? And she's like, no, I don't see it. I said, you don't see the parallel that you basically just grew up in this environment. You learned from your mom how to behave as far as your work goes, how to behave as far as your life goes, how to look at life. I said, do you see the similarities that you just told me that when your mom goes to work, she hates her boss, hates her coworkers, didn't like the job, didn't make enough money. She'd come home, throw some dinner together for you and your siblings, and then she would either go to bed or she would drink or whatever. I said, do you drink? And she goes, no, I never drank. And the only reason I laugh is because you picked up all of the other habits that you grew up with. We don't understand fully all of the synchronicities and the habits and the perspective that we pick up from the people around us. And I said, so here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that you lived a life with your mother and you acted just like her because she put in front of you how you were supposed to act. Because we watch, as kids, we watch the people around us, how they behave, and then we start to mimic that. The only reason we learn to walk is not because our parents say, get up and get walking, because that's just the next thing you do in your developmental stage. You start walking because everyone around you is walking. Nobody tells you to walk. Nobody pulls out the practice guide and says, here's how you walk. Watch this video. You just get up and start walking. Why I'm saying that is because we learn and we pick up all these things around us in our family. And I say to her, I said, what has happened in your life and the environment that you were in with your mom? I said, that is what's led to your depression. I said, you were learned to think that way. That type of thinking creates depression. And I said, and you right now coming to me and saying, I want to learn meditation, but I don't know why I would bother. I would say, I can help you get past that with one word. And she goes, I've been on medication. I've been in and out. I've been, therapy and all these things and all these different techniques and tools and practices and whatever, nothing works. And I said, okay, so let me ask you this. Are you open to the idea that learning something new can help you with your depression? And she says, yes. And she goes, and right now is the first time I've ever said yes. And I said, you just have to be open. You just have to be open to the idea that it can change. You just have to be open. You have to say, I am open to the idea that this is possible. Can somebody cure themselves of depression? And I said, yes. And I said, do you think that? And she said, I don't know. And I said, do you trust me? I said, you don't know me. You don't even know my first name, but you came into my booth. And here I am 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, talking to you. I said, do you feel better talking to me? And she goes, I've talked to a lot of therapists and counselors in my life, and I have never felt as good as I do right now talking with you. I figured it was just the booth. I said, it's not. I said, it's me and you having this conversation. And I said, your depression got deeper because the woman that you love, this woman in your life that taught you how to knit, that gave you attention, that gave you a new perspective, actually gave you joy. She shared joy with you. I said, your grandmother loved to knit. She taught you how to knit. And you bought it. You bought into the idea, and it made you feel good, and it made you feel connected. That's joy. And I said, and you felt that. When was the last time you felt that? And she goes, then the last time I knitted was with her, and that's the last time I felt it. And I said, and then depression sets in. If we don't look at joy, if we never let it in, we're never going to feel it. And then the clouds cover the sun, and it covers our heart. We become hard, we become bitter, regretful, and we feel depression. And we think we need medication to lift us up out of that. And I say, it's not medication that got you there. It's your thoughts that got you there. So you can get the thoughts changed and right and look at the other direction. And I said, I can get you out of that in one word that you have to pick up and you have to adopt in your life. I said, and that is gratitude. I said, you came in and you gave me all these things to complain about. I said, but you didn't give me anything to tell you that you're grateful for. You said nothing. You don't have anything going on. Your house is falling apart. Your kids are gone. Your husband died. Your dog is sick. You don't have a job. You have this disability. And I said, and you've been on medication, been on therapy. That stuff's not working. I said, you have to trust me. There is something that can work. And that something is your mind. Change your mind. You change your life. You change the way you look. You change the things that you look at. So how you approach life is what the result is that you get. And she said, so I don't even know the first thing to do. And I said, that's okay. I said, I can help you. I said, we focus on the things that you're grateful for. I said, right now, is there one thing that you could be grateful for? She goes, I'm grateful for this conversation. I'm grateful that you're at this booth. I'm grateful that I came to this expo because I wasn't coming here. She goes, I literally didn't even know anything about it. I drove by, I saw the signs, and I pulled in. Now I ask you, listener, why did she pull in? She pulled in because Spirit was leading her. Somewhere in there, she had a little glimmer of hope that said, please help me. I don't want to be depressed anymore. Please guide me. Somewhere in there, she set the intention and she showed up at our booth. And I'll tell you one more really interesting fact about this visit is that she did not go to another booth after she left or before she got there. She literally walked in from the door, bought her ticket into the show, and walked directly to our booth. This is how it works. This is the energy. This is what I'm trying to share with you. The power behind this. Anything that you want in life, you can have. So the end result is I helped her. We did a coaching. I helped to kind of alleviate some of that stress and that energy that she was feeling. And she left feeling amazing. She left standing up taller. It changed her posture. And so if you are feeling depressed, I have 3 things and areas for you to focus on. And just like I told her, there's 3 areas of your life: your mind, your body, your spirit. And there's several activities in each of those categories. The first time that I felt depressed, like really, really felt depressed, and then I was really able to understand why people were seeking medication and seeking other sources versus going inward. They had no idea, for one, but they didn't have faith in it. And when I was a personal trainer and I ran my boot camp instructor and I went and rented a building that I had no idea what I was doing and I didn't have the money to rent it. And it was this great, great space. I just absolutely loved it. And 4 months later, I was out of money. 4 months. And I had to go back to my landlord and say, I can't afford to be here. And right then, in that moment, I was so ashamed and I was so embarrassed. And for the next several months, I was depressed. I was so embarrassed, and I don't get embarrassed very easily, but I was ashamed that I was so stupid that I didn't take the money. I didn't get a loan. I didn't figure out something I got in there and I froze and I just felt terrible. And so I was depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to even run boot camp anymore. Nothing made me happy. So during that time, I'm thinking, okay, so now here you are, Jen. You've been talking about all these people that you feel like depression is just in their head. Okay, prove it to me. Now this is the me talking to me, right? Prove it to me that it's in my head. What can you do right now to get your butt out of this bed? What are some things that you really want to do? Now, right in that moment, I'm a 1. So on the scale from 1 to 10, I'm a 1 or less. I don't want to get out of bed. So I didn't go, okay, take me all the way up to a 10. What do I do to get to a 2? How about I get up and take a nice hot shower? So I got up and took a nice hot shower. How about I brush my teeth? Let's brush my teeth. How about I eat, I don't know, eat a bowl of cereal. Okay, let's eat a bowl of cereal. Where am I at right now? I'm a 3. Okay, so now you're a 3. What's going to make you a 4? I'm going to take the dog for a walk. And I only had one dog at that time. That was Bailey. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. I'm going to take her outside. I love throwing the ball for her. It's so much fun. It brings me so much joy. What's that? It brings you what now? Joy. So I leash her up and we go down the road. The sun is shining. It's beautiful outside. I think it was probably May at this point. It was the very first time I'd taken her for a walk in several months. The people around you suffer when you suffer. So I take her for a walk. I go out into the field and I throw the ball and I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It feels so beautiful outside. And I stop as I throw the ball and I wait for her to go get it and bring it back. And I'm looking out at the sky and I'm like, it is so gorgeous. Look at that blue. Look at the woods. Look at the trees. Smell. Take a deep breath in. And I'm like, I'm a 6. So for the first time in 7 months, I'm now a 6, where I spent the first time or all of those months a 1 or less. Thinking about, I don't want to be here. I'm embarrassed. Obviously, I'm not good in business, but my only alternative is go get a job, and I hate jobs. So I talk about being between a rock and a hard place. So I'm throwing the ball for Bailey, and I just watch. She's so strong, and she's so fast, and she's such a great dog. And I just look at her, and I'm just like, I love you. Bailey, you're my favorite dog. I love you more than anything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for lifting my spirits. I'm really sorry that it's been 7 months since you've been outside. I'm a 7. We take the ball and now we're heading back to the house. And she's tired and her big fat tongue is hanging out of her mouth. And she was a boxer. And so she's got this little tiny nubby tail and she's wagging her tail and she's just so happy. And we're going home. I'm an 8. I walk in the door and I look around my house and it's kind of a mess, right? I've not really been cleaning. I just kind of feel like crap. So I fold the blankets and I straighten up the living room and I put some dishes away and I sweep the floor and I organize some things that are out and whatever. And I move this and move that and I go and I clean the bathroom and I make the bed and I throw my clothes in the laundry and I'm just kind of organized because it's just something that I like to do. I'm a 9. Do you see what I'm doing? I used my mind. I made decisions. I used the scale. I said, make me a 1 to a 2, a 2 to a 3. By the time I had gotten up that day, I didn't say, how come I'm so depressed? Or I hate my life. Or I'm never good. I didn't start there. I just said, what am I feeling right now? If it is up to me, I'm going to do it. And if I'm feeling like a 1, what is going to make me a 2? Rather than, I'm so depressed. And then call my friends and talk about it and post on Facebook how crappy I feel. No, if you want to overcome depression, it is up to you. If you want to overcome anxiety, it is up to you. If you want to overcome pain and ill health, it is only up to you. Now listen, it doesn't mean you have to do it alone. It just means that you have to decide. You have to be open. You have to be open to allow it to come in. This lady at the booth was allowing it to come in. That way, through our conversation, I was showing her nothing but compassion. I wasn't telling her about my depression story. I wasn't telling her that depression is bull and you just think your way out of it. I was listening to her. And in me and my coaching role is trying to figure out, why are you feeling this way? What made you think this way? Why do you have this thought? And then putting the things together, right? Putting the pieces together. Your grandma died and you stopped knitting. So what do you think I gave her to do? Go knit. Go knit. Go to the knitting store. When was the last time she was there? 8-9 years ago. Go to the knitting store, pick out your favorite yarn, spend some money and knit something. Anything. And she goes, I kind of like that idea. Great. Because that's going to bring you joy. All right, so here are the 3 areas, mind, body, and spirit, right? So here's the thing. This is what I had to do, and just in telling you my depression story. I sat in it, and I wallowed in it, and I suffered in it for months. Dude, some people do that for years. She was doing it her entire life. 40-some years she was laying in this. And I'm telling you, you don't have to. You're just choosing to. That might be the hardest thing you have to hear. We like to blame the things around us, but I'm telling you, how hard is it to control the outside? It's hard. How hard is it to control your boss or your coworkers or your husband or your kids? Oh, it takes so much energy. What if I say you can overcome that by controlling you? That's what we're talking about. That's what all this whole podcast is about. So when you talk about your mind, what did I give to her to do? There's several things you can do in the mind. Just making the decision, going from one to the next. Go from whatever level you're on and the vibrational scale. And what can you do? You have to ask yourself this. You can't now go down the hall and say, hey, honey, what can I do to become a 2? He doesn't know. Probably doesn't know. So in the mind, I say a couple of things. 1, do something that's creative. If you're a creative spirit, she loved to knit. I love to paint. If you can do it, if you ask yourself, if I'm a 1 and I say, what would make me a 2? If painting isn't one of it, then don't do that. Literally ask, but be open to new ideas. What would make me a 2? I'm just going to get up. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to brush my teeth, right? That's okay if that's what it is. There was no way I could have gone from the bed to walking Bailey. I had to incrementally go up. I told this in a class. It's a really good analogy, and I think you'll understand it. So picture yourself in a room where there's a loft above you, and there's stairs like across the room over in that corner that go up to that loft. If I say stand in the middle of the room and I want you to jump up to that loft, you're going to look at me like I'm nuts. And then eventually I'm going to say, no, I'm not kidding. Jump up to that loft. And you're going to go, I can't. It's too high. I said, jump up to the loft. I can't. Are you kidding? It's 23 feet. Okay. What are you going to do? You go over in that corner and you incrementally go up the 23 feet. Well, that's what I'm talking about when I say the scale. You can't go from a 1 to a 10. You can go from a 1 to a 2 and a 2 to a 3. Okay, so now in the mind, you have to make the decision. You have to be open, right? And so something that's creative. How about adventure and fun? We talked about this in yesterday's podcast. How about adventure and fun, right? So if I do adventure and fun, what can I do that would be great for that? What fun thing can I do that's going to incrementally go up? These are just ways to think about this. This is just in your mind. What about learning something new? All of these things help to pull you out of, but keep you out of. I don't want to just pull you out of depression for the day. I want to pull you out of depression for your life. Because on the other side of depression is cheerfulness, is happiness, joy, harmony, peace, love. That's on the other side of depression. But you have to trust me. You've been on this journey for a few days with me now. You have to trust me that it's possible. Not only have I helped people get through it, I've also pulled myself out. Hey, you know what? Jen, you believe that it's in your mind. You believe that you can cause depression, so you can overcome depression. You better live what you're preaching, and you better do what you're teaching. So what are the tools? And these are the tools. The next one is your body. So are you now, I'm going to be careful when I say this, but are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting the right amount of sleep? Amy and I took a sleep test, and matter of fact, my sleep test, this was a course, I can't tell you the name of it, but I can tell you that it was a Mind Valley course. Anyway, and it's about sleep. So you could figure out, I don't know what information you could put in, but you could take a sleep test, and it tells what's a good time of day or evening for you to go to bed, and what time is a good time for you to wake up, and roughly how many sleep cycles you need to go through to have your most productive day. And mine was like 6 hours, but Amy's was like 9. So this is why when she's going to bed, she might really start getting tired at 10 o'clock, where I'm closer to midnight before I start getting tired. And I could pop awake at 6, where she could sleep till 8. So we just adjust that, right? But that's totally true. 6 hours of sleep is really perfect for me. So anyway, so finding out what your sleep amount is, how many sleep cycles you need specific for you. So I would suggest going to get taking, you don't have to go to the hospital or anything, but you probably could get one online, is a sleep test. So are you getting the right amount of sleep? The other is exercise. So getting up and brushing my teeth and doing all that and taking Bailey for a walk and getting outside. So get up, throw the curtains back, let the natural light come in, open the windows, let the nature of outside into your house, get out into the expansiveness of outdoors. Go to the beach, go to the field, go to the woods, get outside. Because when we're depressed, we are in a constricted or contracting emotion. And what we now want is to do something opposite, which is expand. So that's why we always want to go to bed. We want to get in that fetal position and put the covers over our head. Well, now I say do the opposite of that for your body. Get up, get outside, open your body up, raise your head, put your shoulders back, open your arms, right? That's going to help you to move that energy out. And the next is diet, because there's so many things that we eat that get converted to a glucose that creates anxiety. It creates constant overweight and obesity, that we are eating or drinking these things that have an effect on our mood and our metabolism. So alcohol, caffeine, sugar, all of those things can have an effect on your mood. And even like white breads or bleached enriched flours, all of those things can affect your mood and maybe not cause depression, but certainly not help you get rid of it. So sleep, diet, and exercise, getting out and even just walking. I'm not saying go to the gym and spend 4 hours. I'm just saying get outside, walk, hike, kayak, swim, run, whatever is exciting. Get on your bike, whatever can be just a little bit stimulating to you. And the last one, because we talked about mind, that was body, and now spirit. There's 3 things in there. Meditation, where we talk about meditation. You can go to my YouTube channel and type in Jen Mack, and you will find some guided meditations. There's not a lot in there, but any one of those meditation walkthroughs will help you. You can also go to the Facebook group, Lady of the Mind, Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind, and there's a heart space meditation in there. There's more to come, but right now I'm just trying to get here and keep the podcast alive and well. But any of those will help. Meditation, just getting you out of beta brainwave and into alpha brainwave. The next is visualizing, is spending that time really letting your imagination go, taking the lid off of your thinking. How great of a life can I live? and really expanding your imagination and your visualization skills. And the last one and the best one, and if you have done this, I've asked you as a couple of probably 3, I think even in the present moment podcast, I forget which one it is now, where I talk about gratitude and creating that journal, or like what I've done, the gratitude box, is every single day put something in there, because that's telling the universe, these are the things I want to be grateful for. These are the things I want more of in my life. When you close that box after you write something of gratitude on there, please don't close the box and get out and start complaining about your life. So when I went out into the field, I'm with Bailey, I'm like, thank you, Bailey, for coming out here with me. And I'm really sorry that it's been 7 months since I've taken you for a walk. Thank you, sky, for being such a beautiful color. Thank you, weather, that it's so nice and beautiful out here. Thank you, field, for being so close to my house, that it was just like right here, 3 minutes and I can be over there. Thank you, Jen, for getting out of bed. So this lady left the booth and she was standing up taller and she felt better. And I was so grateful for her and she was so grateful for me. And I gave her some of these same tools that I'm giving you right now. You can overcome depression. You can. I have no doubt in my mind, anything that you are struggling with, you can overcome. Anything that you are struggling with, you can overcome. And I am here for you. And I will continue to believe in you until you believe in you. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this episode, please take the time to like and share. Also, please visit me on my other social media pages. I'm on Instagram, Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. I'm on Facebook, where we have this community titled Life Mastery Decoded, and it's a community of women and women entrepreneurs where we come together to support one another in sharing our successes and struggles. You can also check out my YouTube channel, where I share my teachings and my personal journey, and it's simply titled Jen Mack, Jenmac. Have a great day, and I hope to hear from you.